This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
Hello, everybody. This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio, and it is December 3rd, and we're almost done with 2020, and I don't know about you, but I'm kind of ready to get started on a good foot and to get going with something new and something exciting. And one of the new exciting things I have discovered is that a new book series, and it is by a gentleman named a Sci-Fi series by a gentleman named Lyndon Hardy. And Lyndon Hardy became interested in fantasy while wandering through the fringes of fandom when he was at Caltech. In addition to reading and writing, he has sporadic bursts of enthusiasm for collecting stamps and playing cards. As of yet, he has not figured out a plot line for a stamp collector who saves the world. I bet we could probably come up with something today. He publishes 3 fantasy novels for Valentin Del Rey in the 1980s, and now they are available again. While at Caltech in 1961, he organized and led what has been called the best college prank ever pulled, the Rose Bowl card stunt caper. And you could find his latest book, Double Magic, out now, and then you can find him on his website, Facebook, and Amazon. Welcome to the show today, Lyndon. How are you?
Hi, Patricia. Excuse me. At my age, need a little help sometimes.
Not a worry.
Hi,
not a worry.
Patricia.
So,
thanks for having me.
Of course. I am so excited. You know, my husband has read your books, and he was so funny because he said, oh, there's this author, he's finally gotten this book out that I've been waiting on forever, and I asked him about it, and he told me, and I said, oh, that sounds really interesting. And you had put a call out for beta readers for your latest book.
That's correct.
And right. And how did that go? Did it go pretty well?
Better than I expected.
Yeah.
I thought I had written this tight, well-crafted novel with no holes in it whatsoever, and son of a gun, there were.
Yeah. It's amazing that I think when we look at our stuff too long, we just figure we're filling in the holes, I think, and then someone else reads it and says, wait a minute, what about this part? And you think,
exactly.
You didn't see that? I didn't teleport that out of my brain onto the page.
Right.
So, yeah. But the best, one of the fun parts about this was I said, I wonder if he'd like to be on the show. And when I reached out to you and you said yes, my husband was just like, how did you do that? I said, I just asked him.
Right, that's how it goes.
Sometimes that's all you do, just ask. And so it's been delightful talking with you back and forth for the past few weeks. But one of the things I am just absolutely thrilled about, other than your books, but I have to know more about this wonderful prank you pulled many years ago. And it's how much time do we have?
Right. Yeah, I can talk a little about it. Well, okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, so basically you guys, for people who are listening, a lot of football games will have cards that you put up, say at halftime or third quarter, and it spells out things. So
that's right.
Some people might be familiar with Yale messing with Harvard a few years ago when they got them to put up "We suck," meaning Harvard sucked, and Yale instigated this. But you guys started this in '61. I mean, this is where you started. I mean, why do it at all?
Well, let's see. First of all, we're not the first to do it. I don't know historically how many there have been, but Caltech is a small college. At the time I was there, it was men only. A lot of frustration, therefore, because there weren't any co-eds. And we had a football team. We were in a league, and our home field was the Rose Bowl, believe it or not. Here we have a school, 700 students, and the Rose Bowl is our home field. And
wow.
we just thought, to go to one of the games is really amazing. Your seats are wonderful. They're right there on the 50-yard line. and there are about 50 people there. On the other side of the stadium, about another 50. Anyway, we said, the thoughts of Caltech football and Rose Bowl being together in the same sentence are vanishingly small. So what can we do to do something to make that happen? And so that was the genesis of trying to do this. And it took a little work. I had to just make a lot of phone calls, and eventually found that the football team was staying in downtown Long Beach, and talked over the phone to one of the players who helped me. He said, "Oh, no, the cheerleaders are coming in a couple of weeks, and they're going to stay at what is Cal State Long Beach." And so when they showed up, at a dorm, I went in and said I was a high school newspaper reporter, and I'm doing an article for my high school newspaper on how one does card stunts.
And you were 19, so it was reasonable to believe that you were a high school student.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm not the biggest guy in the world anyway, so it worked out. And so they're very helpful. He says, "Well, what you do is," and he reaches under his bed and pulls out a satchel, and he opens it up and says, "See, these are the instruction sheets. One sheet for each card stunt, and the squares are colored in. And this is what's going to be on the instruction cards. And here are the instruction cards. You see, and card number whatever, it says blue, card 3, all this stuff." So I thanked him very much and left. And then after they were gone, went back and got into the room. Well, I didn't know. I had help. One of the pastimes at Caltech is learning how to pick locks. And it was taught by upperclassmen to incoming freshmen, and I don't know if I'm still doing that or not. But anyway, I had a very good lock picker with me, and he got the room open, and I went in, and I just took one instruction card. Just one. Then I went back to a printer, and I said, "I'd like to have 2,300 of these printed up." And he said, "We can do that."
Wow.
I said, "You don't understand. I want these to be exactly like these.
Right.
No different type font, none of that stuff." He said, "Oh, yeah, we can do that." So I got him printed, and when I got him back, my face fell. I said, "Wait a minute. You got the printing right, but the color is all different." He says, No, it's right, but look at the difference." I showed him the card. He said, "Oh, that's because it's faded with age." He said, "Well, new stock." I said, what are we going to do? And so we tried for a day to figure out how to dye them, and that wouldn't work. So let's going to go for it. So we laid out all the instruction cards out in our dorm's dining room. Just laid them all out. And excuse me, we went back a second time, and they weren't there. It was New Year's Eve, I think, and got all the instruction sheets. Then we came back and started stamping cards. And what we did is, we don't want to mess everything up. We don't want to make something offensive. They put a lot of work into this. We're just going to pick 3 stunts in the middle that we're going to change. And
right.
And there are, 17 stunts. Still more time for me to continue talking?
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. So we started putting stamps on these things. And son of a gun, if you have something like 14 card stunts and 2,300 people, that's an awful lot of stamps.
That is.
To go in and stamp each card. So we're doing this. And then for 3 of them, we decide we're going to change. Now, the mascot for Washington is a husky. Mm-hmm. The mascot for Caltech is a beaver. So we rounded the ears of the husky and gave him buck teeth. So looks kind of funny, but you come up, people look at it, scratch your head, and if they're okay, they'll continue. Then the next stunt was the University of Washington spell out. And the way you do a spell out is when you look at your instruction card, you'll have your color you show up and also a little number after it. And the yell leader will start counting out numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you hear your number, you flip your card to the other side. And the effect will be, script will come out. Start with the W and go across and finish and everything.
Sure.
So what we did, we reversed the numbers so that the first card will come up will be the end of the swirl of the end of Washington and go back up and end up with the W. Again, you're watching that, you may think, well, this is a little strange. And then we figure, well, we're pressing our luck too much. The third one is going to be Caltech. this black on yellow. And Mel, probably you're all too young. Remember Mel Allen, the radio and TV announcer, did a lot of
right.
TV. He was following a script, and he was talking through the first two okay, and he came to this, and he was just silent. There was dead air on national television for 30 seconds. Now, and then the yell leader didn't know what the next stunt was going to be, and so he marched everybody off the field, and we didn't end up finishing the thing. So went back, and an anonymous caller called LA Times. Something funny happened at the Rose Bowl, and they investigated, and they concluded that somehow some of the people at Caltech infiltrated the card stunt section and convinced people to ignore the instructions on their cards and do what they told them to do instead.
Wow. And that was not it at all. I mean, 2,000, you altered 2,000 sets of instructions.
In a very short period of time, yeah. And we didn't have any idea it was going to catch on the way it did. That wasn't one of our thoughts at all. It was, can we do this? I mean, we're not doing anything at the start and pull this off. And it's gotten a life of its own over the years.
I mean, that's just, and it's one of those, I was telling my daughter about it when I was looking into this, and she's like, those are the kind of pranks I like. We're not hurting anybody. It's not, it's just silly and fun, and it's just kind of unexpected. So, yeah, it's just, but I mean, that took an immense amount of thought. How many people did work with you on this?
Well, I'm not sure exactly, because people would come in when we were stamping the cards into our dining room and do some and go away. But we settled on the fact that we were the fiendish 14.
Yes.
And so that's what it is for public consumption. I don't know how many people.
Right. Well, and it's easy because you get to be part of that. And so if anybody wants to look at the details of this, if you go and there's a Wikipedia page, and it says The Great Rose Bowl Hoax. And it's on there, and it's all written up. And then there is a YouTube video, not necessarily of the actual movement of the cards, but, I mean, snapshots and pictures and stuff. So, but, yeah. And then it said in here also that a similar hoax by Caltech in 1984 inspired to change the scoreboard to show Caltech leading its rival MIT, but it was actually UCLA playing Illinois. And so and then there was another one in 2014 that Caltech students built a large white Pasadena sign overlooking the stadium, and then just before halftime they turned on the lights, which spelled out Caltech. Yeah. So
it's just a tradition of the school, and sometimes stunts work, sometimes they don't. There have been other attempts in the Rose Bowl which did not work. So anyway.
Do you do any of these students reach out to you and ask you about this when they're thinking of the next great thing to do?
Well, let's see. When it happened, we all agreed that what's important was the stunt, not the people's names. All a name does is clutter up as a footnote or something. And so we were silent for 50 years.
Wow.
And at the 50th anniversary of the stunt, Caltech Public Relations, the Caltech campus knew, called me up and said, "Would you please break your silence?" And
because it'll be 60 years this January. It'll be 60 years next month.
That's right. So 10 years ago, it became public who all was involved.
Wow. I mean, that's fun. And then, so during all that time, you're, creating these great stunts, but you're going to school and you're studying physics, and you end up getting a PhD in that from Cal Berkeley. And then this whole time you've been inspired by different authors, I assume, sci-fi authors. What were kind of your go-tos growing up reading?
Well, let's see. First of all, Isaac Asimov. He had the 3 laws of robotics.
Right.
And all his stories evolve from what's happening with the laws and things about them. And besides reading science fiction, I like fantasy more than science fiction.
Okay.
And I read fantasy, and maybe it's my scientific background. I don't know. I didn't like the idea that a fantasy novel can go along and there are no laws. I mean,
right.
the narrative tension can be low. Maybe at the last scene, the hero remember, oh, I know, I'll call up the what's-a-my-go and do that and defeat the villain and go forward. And so for many years, I wanted to write a book that was based on fantasy having definite laws, that there are constraints. They're not omnipotent. And furthermore, that it's not mystical, that magic was a way of life. I mean, there were people who were workmen who were building buildings, and they used magic to do that. There was an alchemist who, he was a pharmacist at the time, and so on. But they all had constraints. And so finally, one day, one evening, I guess, my wife said, hey, look at this. The adult school, Torrance, I live in Torrance, California. Adult school is having a course titled Writing to Sell. So I went to this course and ended up getting in a writers group, and over several years I ended up doing research and what could I make the laws to be and everything, and writing this novel in which it was the milieu was this magic was an everyday thing. And so I did that and got it published traditionally. And okay, I checked that off my life list. And 4 years went by. And then I got a letter from Lester Del Rey, who was the editor. He was a early first generation, very famous science fiction writer. And said, hey, have you ever thought about writing another book? Well, I hadn't. So I said, well, okay, I'll give that a try. And so I ended up writing a trilogy back in the 80s.
Okay.
And then I thought I was done. Then life goes on. I worked full time and got to the point where I retired. And I said, maybe I'll start writing again. And that's what I've done. And now I've written 3 more books. One thing I do in my series is it's not really a series. Well, it is, because they're book 1 through 6. But each one has a different set of characters and a completely different story. So you can read them in any order without knowing anything about any of the rest of them. That's not quite true with books 4 and 5 because the romantic story I couldn't quite finish in the book and had to write another book to finish it. But other than that, you could pick up any one and just read it and hopefully enjoy it and then go back, maybe we'll read some more. I don't know.
Yeah. So when you started writing, when was that? Like when you took the class?
The first book was published in 1980, and I started working on it, probably 4 or 5 years before then. Maybe, I think of that, maybe 7 years before then. Just going to the library, pulling out books on the occult, and going through all that jibber-jabber and trying to extract from it what ultimately became my rules of magic, the laws of magic. And
when you were writing and taking the class in the 70s, and then you've come back and written again, what were those? What was the hardest thing that you started with when you started writing? And was it still difficult now when you picked everything up again?
It's less difficult now because part of writing is having confidence that what you're writing might have some merit to it. When you write your first book, I don't know, other people, maybe they're very confident to start with. I don't know, is this any good? Am I wasting my time? But once you've done that and published some things, then it's just a matter you can just sit down and I'm going to write some today. So
I think too, a lot of my friends say actually the first book is hard because you're just trying to figure out your way, but the second book is harder because now people know you can finish the first book. So if you've not finished, you've got something else to say. They're like, and where is it?
There's that. My first 3 books were published traditionally, so they were deadlines, and so that's something you had to worry about. When I retired, I got the rights back to my first 3 books and self-published books 4, 5, and 6. So I don't have that problem. I just have to make sure I do as good a job as I can for what I write.
Sure. Do you format your books yourself, or do you have a program that you use?
I wrote a program the ebooks are easy because there's just you got to do it a certain way for either an Mobi for Amazon or EPUB for the other vendors. But for print, I want to have several little things. I want to have the chapter titles be a little fancy, have a glossary, and all sorts of other things. So I wrote a program that packages up my stuff after I have it finished.
Nice. That's wonderful. And so when you got that call or you got that letter asking for another book, did you have more stories that you wanted to tell, or did you have to go back and say, okay, what could I write about?
What can I write about?
Okay.
And every one of my books does have a scientific background to it. It would be called hard science fiction if it weren't for the fantasy overlay. But I have to have a spark of an idea that's going to be the theme of it. We're talking about still laws and things of that type. And that comes sometimes it doesn't. The second book was fairly easy. And the third book, I didn't have any idea until I remember one morning I was shaving, and all of a sudden it hits me. Wait a minute, I can write about the demons. What goes on in the realm of demons? And so that became the third book.
And so you've got the first book was The Master of the Five Magics, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then The Secret of the Sixth Magic, and then Riddle of the Seven Realms.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one thing to tell you about the second book, Secret of the Sixth Magic. If you publish with the publisher, you have very little say how the book is going to come out. But you're so happy you're being published, so you go along with it. Anyway, I was asked to write a sequel, and I wanted to call the title of the book Meta Magic, because it was not about the laws of magic, but the laws about the laws of magic, which is you have to wrap your brain around it a little bit. And my editor says, no, that'll never sell. We're going to call the book The Secret of the Sixth Magic. And I said, but there is no sixth magic. And he says, here's what you do. Halfway through the book, you have your protagonist say, I wonder if there's a sixth magic. And then he'll say, no, I don't think so. And then you go on the rest of the book. And that took care of it.
And that took care of it. That's it. That's what you do. Did you have much say over the cover?
None.
Okay.
Traditionally, I have no say so as to the cover. The first cover was tremendous. It helped the sales a lot. The same artist did the second and third cover, and they missed the boat for both of them totally. Okay.
Well, have you designed the covers that you have now?
I use online help, and a friend who's an artist, and he's done the covers for me for books 4, 5, and 6. Have your grandkids read your books? No, they haven't. They're not interested at all in the subject. One of my daughters, when she was in, middle school, she would sneak up after school and see what I'd written the night before. Oh, wow. And ended up breaking into tears at what she thought the ending was for the second book. And so I taught her a lesson. But no. Nobody in the present generation. Well, if you go to Amazon for my books, you'll see it's classified under classic fantasy. Because I'm writing in the style back from, 40, 50, 60 years ago. It's not the kind of science fiction or fantasy that you see now. So maybe the younger readers really aren't that interested in it. I don't know. Maybe, or on the other hand, maybe some will say, hey, maybe this is okay. We'll see. Right. Well, and I think it just depends, honestly, on what kind of mood you're in, quite honestly, because it just varies. Every style of writing is different, and I think sometimes people want to mix it up a little bit and see how things are the same and different from writing not too long ago, actually. So, do you have any other projects or stories that you're thinking about writing? Are you good with 6? Well, I've thought of the basic idea that's going to be the theme of the 7th book. Okay. And that's having to do with dark matter, which we don't understand anything about. So everyone says dark matter, we don't react to it. It passes right through us, and so on, and it's here. Well, suppose they're in dark matter, there's a whole other civilization. And that's as far as I've got with the thinking about it. But anyway, that's going to be the 7th book.
Okay. Well, I think it's fun that you're hitting a subject that we don't know a lot about, so that really opens you up to a lot of freedom to kind of translate it. But when you're writing that, because of your background, do you always make sure that the math would work, or the factual stuff sticks, and then you just kind of expand on that, or how do you decide what to write?
Well, that's a very good question. I try to make sure that all the science that is in the books is correct. I may make a mistake, but I try to make it correct. But since it's not this per se hard science fiction, we have the fantasy overlay. I can do what I want with the fantasy.
Right.
And so I'm okay there. But that's one reason why I wanted to have some people to look for plot holes, because hey, I can say, wait a minute, you can't do this. You said back in book 3 that there were a limit to whatever.
Right. Yeah, that's I've gone to several workshops and listened to different people talk about story Bibling, basically, and you want to keep that consistent thread. And as writers, people think that we just completely know our stories backwards and forwards, day or night, and
right.
We're definitely human. So having those readers come back and go, but you said, and da-da-da. So that's always a good thing to have that. I have not come up with a good system of how to organize my series at all, which that's my goal for next year. But it's a process, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And that's part of the joy of it, is that I think you're continually learning. Mm-hmm. And that's one reason why I want to write books that are different with the underlying theme and with different characters every time, as opposed to taking, let's see, where was Joe at the end of book 4? That happened. Let's pick him up the next day and go on for there with another of the same.
Right, right. Have you had characters that your readers have asked you about and you had no intention of ever writing about them? Any more about them?
No, I haven't. The only reason I didn't mention about every book is different, the exception is books 4 and 5, as I say that the main 2 characters, their romantic arc I didn't feel satisfactorily completed at the end of book 4, and so I finished that off in book 5.
And does your wife help you with any of the editing, or do you have an editor that comes in? I
do not have an editor.
Okay.
My wife does not help. She doesn't care anything at all about science fiction or fantasy. She's an avid reader, and I appreciate that. She says, hey, this is a good book. You should read this too. And that's where my horizons are broadened in my own reading experience. But
nice.
She is not a fantasy or science fiction reader. But we've been married for 54 years, so I guess it's going to work out. Probably.
Do you have a words of advice for those who wonder how you've gotten 54 good years of marriage?
Well, let's see. The first thing you have to do is be extremely lucky. When you think of how many people are the opposite sex out there, and to find one that you're going to, enjoy for that much long of time, is pretty remarkable. And I think what my wife does exceedingly well is she tolerates my shortcomings. And I try to do the same for her, but that's a pretty easy job for me.
You probably just won some major brownie points saying that. You know that, right?
No, she's not listening. So.
Oh, well, maybe she'll listen later. So.
Yeah, later.
That's wonderful. So you're writing this other book. When do you think you'll be what is your set deadline? What are you setting your deadline for?
Well, it'll take me a year.
Okay.
I do have other things to do in my life as well, and so I hope to get it done in a year. But
Okay.
like I say, all I have now is the basic idea. I mean, you need a lot more than. I don't take the basic idea and sit down and write chapter 1. I do like to have some idea of where I'm going. So.
Do you write like the first chapter to the end, or do you write scenes and put it together? What is your process?
Well, I do write by chapters, but they are short chapters.
Mm-hmm.
In that I think one thing it may help a reader. I just can't quite put it down yet. Oh, because there's the next chapter. Maybe I'll read that one too, and maybe that'll just pull them through the book. So yeah, short chapters, and I try to write a chapter a week.
Okay. What is the best writing advice you've ever gotten, and what is the worst?
Well, let me think. I don't know if I'm. Let me back up and say, the best advice I can give, and I don't know who I got it from, is get in a writer's group.
Mm-hmm.
Get in a group of like-minded people who are also struggling to get their work out. And what you do is you meet maybe once a week, and the fact that you're reading once a week, and I got to write something because we're going to read a little bit of what we've written this past week. That pulls you along, and you're among people who are very sympathetic. They understand what you're going through. They're very gentle with their comments, and you learn an awful lot. That's the best advice. And maybe somebody told me that in the first place. I don't remember, but that's the best advice I could give. The worst advice, that's changed. I mean, the way it was back in the 1980s was do whatever your editor tells you. And so that's why the second book is titled The Secret of the Sixth Magic.
Mm-hmm.
But now, if you do self-publish, then do what you want to do. I mean, for writing, the important thing is first write for yourself. Mm-hmm. So that when you're done with the book, you say, wow, I feel good about myself because I've written that. And I think that's a good book. And then kick back for a few days and feel good about yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting how being in a writer's group, like you mentioned, makes a massive difference in productivity and momentum even.
Yes.
It's also nice to have a group of people. You don't have to explain why you're writing what you're writing. They already get that you have a story to tell.
Yes.
So
good point.
Yeah. So you're not saying, people are saying, so why are you writing about this? And
why are you doing this?
Should we be worried?
Have a job? You're right.
Yes. Yeah. My favorite story about that is I was on a panel, and one of the ladies for the Sisters in Crime group was there, and she said the reason you want to be in a writer's group is because you can sit with people who get what you're doing. And her example was one of her friends was going on a second honeymoon with her husband, and they were going to Italy, and they were going to stay in this castle. And the woman could not wait to get there so she could figure out how hard she'd have to push someone and where they would land on the sidewalk or the ground.
I was thinking about that. Yeah.
Right. And everyone's like, oh, so how high's the ledge, and how tall's the person, and how hard are you going to push them, and it's just like, do you have to lift them over? And it's like nobody was worried about, should she be worried? They worried for her husband coming home. And so it's just kind of a nice thing to walk into that like-minded group, like you're saying. So so anybody listening, for sure, get involved. And sometimes you have to try different writers groups because the first one doesn't work, or they're not as serious, or
or some people don't really play by the unwritten rules in them.
Right.
Just to digress a little bit, talking about things of that type, travel is a good thing. Here's a story, a little bit I'm going to toss out. I'm not going to use it because I've tried several times and failed. I was in Europe with my wife, many years ago, and we went to, the New Swanstein, whatever his castle in Bavaria, Mad King Louis' castle. Very impressive castle, for fantasy and so on. And I remember going there and walking with him, looking up, and it's near dusk, and all of a sudden an image flashed into my mind of hang gliders. A circle of hang gliders were slowly coming in to land in the courtyard of this castle in order to rescue the princess. And that's as far as I got with it. But anyway, travel and get some ideas. Yeah.
It does sound delightful. So if anybody uses that in their book, they have to reach out to Lyndon because you need to tell him that you use that. So
yes,
he's given it to you guys to work on. That would be great. So tell me, other than your writing, and then you've talked about Asimov, I mean, what movies or books are kind of your go-tos these days?
Well, let's see. Another book that resonates with me was when I was starting to get serious and I was taking the notes on what is publishable in magic and so on. I happened to read Nine Princes in Amber by Roger Zelazny. Check it out in the library. Never heard of the name before. Finished reading the book and I said, oh my gosh, I can't be a writer because I can never write anything as good as this. And therefore I took a year before I could get back to even trying to pick up a pencil again because I thought the bar was set so high in that book. And that's another, I think, book more from the classic era.
Right. Well, and I think people need to, and I'm sure you figured out at the time you were just trying to figure it out, but a lot of people who say, well, I'd love to write, and they read the finished product. Well, yeah, it's polished and it's great because it's supposed to be. Well, you didn't see the raw one. So you didn't see the first draft or the 10th draft.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like I'm going to exercise every day, and the first few weeks it's ugly. Then you get going, and it's better. So yeah, or anything. It's just practice. Practice helps, for sure. So you guys, I know you probably haven't been traveling much right now because of the pandemic, but do you have any trips that you might take in the next year or two?
Well, my wife and I have been to quite a few of the national parks in this country, 25, 27, something like that. But we haven't been east of the Mississippi. And so once these things clear up, I think we want to do some traveling there.
Would you drive or would you fly?
Oh, well, to the East Coast we would fly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I noticed on your bio you said you had lived for a short period of time in Texas. Where were you? Well,
see, my family is from Texas. My parents came out to California as part of the migration in the Great Depression.
Okay.
And then after World War II, we went back to Texas for a while. And then finally we came back to California again. And it was in Dallas. I lived with my grandmother. Dallas.
Yeah, I lived in Dallas for a while, and now I'm in San Antonio. So, yeah.
Okay,
and we actually drove.
Yeah.
Oh.
San Antonio, Corpus Christi, and Dallas. The places.
Okay.
In fact.
So you just kind of hit the I-35 corridor there, or I-10 corridor.
Yeah. It was when I was 6 years old, and wasn't a very pleasant experience because in the course of 1 year, I attended 4 different elementary schools in 3 different cities. So
that's rough. That is rough. But we drove the kids out to California a couple of years ago. So we went Carlsbad and then through. We stopped at the Alien Museum, and it's funny because I was like, "Oh, you got to see the Alien Museum," and the kids, I just didn't appreciate the fact that they've grown up with so many movies with aliens.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so when they walked in, they're looking around like, what is this place?
Right.
And I said, oh, yeah, that's right, because you just wouldn't appreciate it like someone in 1948 would be really freaking out. It was very different. And then we hit the crater in Arizona, then the Grand Canyon, and then went into LA and then hit La Jolla, like to the beach, and did a bunch of stuff out there and drove all the way back. And you look at the map and I-10, it's like, oh, it's a straight shot from San Diego all the way to San Antonio. That's really long.
Yes, it is. We're in a big country. That's true enough. Yeah.
It's a desperately long drive. So be sure and hit those bathroom breaks when you hit El Paso, because there's not much going on after that till you get to Fort Stockton. It's a long drive. If anybody's taking road trips, remember that. And
well, on the other hand, if you're a writer, this is the perfect time. You don't have any excuses anymore.
Yeah.
You have time to write. That's
right. And so thank you so much for being here today. I so appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope there's some material out of this you can use. And,
absolutely. It has been fun.
Well, okay. And so I didn't find out much about you. You do this periodically, right?
I do. I do it once a week.
Oh, wow.
And I've been doing this for about almost 4 years. Uh-huh. So I think as of now I have close to 130 plus shows. Mm-hmm. And it's really great because my boss, Sheila English, she is just basically says, go find people to come talk on the show. So I've been lucky enough to have people who want to come on and talk and all sorts of things, fiction, nonfiction, romance, sci-fi, not, historical, whatever. So it's been delightful to be able to feature authors and talk about their processes and everything else. So it's just been great. So I feel very lucky that it's something I can continue to do, especially at times like this. So it's been wonderful. Yeah.
So how does one plug into hearing you? Where do you publish? I'm going to send you the link for the show, and then I'll post it on social media, and then you could all you do is click it, and it will play for you. Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah. How about that? I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and good luck with you have your next weeks lined up?
Yes. I have actually until the end of March lined up. Yeah. It's either feast or famine, because it's either, I can't find people who want to be on for whatever reason, or everybody. It's like I'm just trying to get everybody in that is sending me requests. So it just varies, but I will take it. I will take it for now. So it'll be good.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And this was Patricia W. Fisher with Lyndon Hardy. He is the author of The Master of the Five Magics, and his latest book, Double Magic, is out now. So go check him out. I have links to his Amazon page as well as his website and Facebook. So give him a shout, and the best way to reach him is sending him an email. But I will also have his website on here so you can find that. And this has been Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio. And keep on reading, everybody.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe, and welcome to our circle.